Hello and welcome to Happisburgh. This area is a very important one for Paleolithic archaeology. I'm standing on the cliffs just outside the village, and behind me is an area that's been experiencing rapid coastal erosion over the last 20 years or so as a result of the failure of the sea defences. The rapid coastal retreat has exposed some very important Pleistocene and Paleolithic deposits, and this has been investigated in two locations. The first behind me, an area that we call Site 1, and then further up the coast on the other side of the village, another location that has become known as Happisburgh Site 3. Site 1 was actually discovered by a local resident who found the Happisburgh handaxe in situ in organic sediments exposed on the beach at low tide. This discovery led on to a series of excavations which have completely transformed our understanding of prehistory in Britain. So we're just heading towards Site 1 here, and it gives you an impression of the overall working environment for an archaeological excavation on the beach. So we were accessing the site each day by walking from the village down to the site, bringing everything we needed with us. We couldn't leave equipment and tools on site, and because the beach environment is so mobile and changeable, we had to contend with those changing conditions each day. And that meant we had to adapt our strategy to what would normally be expected of an archaeological excavation and deal with the daily tidal cycle, deal with the changing weather conditions, water coming from the sky, from the sea, and indeed from below as the groundwater filled the trenches. So the conditions were really very challenging, but it was also a very productive excavation which enabled us to learn a lot about the environment and the age of the archaeological assemblage from Happisburgh Site 1. So I'm now standing at Site 1, and actually the original find of the Happisburgh handaxe was out on the foreshore over there, and the area I'm standing now is exposed as the cliffs have retreated. There isn't a great deal to see in the way of the archaeological deposits today, but it gives you an impression of what it would be like excavating in this kind of area. The beach has built up, so removing beach sand was done with an excavator, and of course we're in an area that's underwater every high tide. So at each high tide more sand was brought onto the archaeological excavation, so that had to be removed as the tide was falling, and then quickly excavating in as controlled and careful a way as was possible during low tide, only for it to be covered over again during the next high tide. We also drilled boreholes on the beach, bringing a large drilling rig down, and this was done to establish the stratigraphy of the sediments. So we were able to recover cores and describe them and process them in the laboratory. As well as excavating archaeologically, we took a lot of bulk samples, and these were sieved, and we actually sieved them in the sea on site. So we were able to break down the large quantity of material and just take the sorted residues back to London for processing. And the sieving was really important to recover small mammal remains which have told us a lot about the environment and the age of the site.